You're watching CCN, Clarksville Community Network. Produced by Goodwin Productions. Powered by CDE Lightband.
Good afternoon. I am William Parker. I'm the historical interpreter here at Fort Defiance, and today we have the Tennessee Woodcarvers here, and we're really excited about their visit.
What was happening here is what we call a demonstration day. That's where we go someplace, usually here, because Parks and Rec were very generous with us. So we hope, and today it happened, that a few people would show up so that we could not just demonstrate how to do things, but get them started.
I started out as an art teacher years and years ago, and so I've done some of this probably for 50 years. We were trying to teach some basics today. Total strangers, had never met them. There's a lot of joy in that as well, just sharing the ability.
Yeah, if you come in, we'll help you out, let you use our tools. A bunch of these guys have a bunch of scrap wood. We'll get you started, see if we can get you something by the end of the day. We'll see if we can have something that you can take home.
I have people very often say, I can't do anything artistic. You know, they say, I'm just not artistic in any way. And I always say, yes, everyone is born with a certain amount of artistic ability. The problem is, we as adults teach them early on that they didn't do it right. My daughter, when she was in kindergarten, the teacher had them color pumpkins. And she decided she would color her pumpkin blue. Teacher did not like that. Because the teacher did not like that, that's how people get turned off. And so I think you have to encourage people. Even when they make mistakes, you have to say, that's fine, let's see what we can do with that. Let's see how we can improve it. Let's see what comes next.
I got started probably about 20 years ago or so. I was in the military. Hung out at the craft center all the time in the wood shop. And there's an old man there by the name of Chuck Weber, the wood shop instructor. I made some going away gifts, and what I would do is I just traced out unit logo and I'd etch it out with a router. After doing a few of those, he's like, hey, you know, take a chisel and, you know, kind of round this off here, round that off there, you know. Next thing you know, I'm carving. He kind of helped me develop and grow and get into wood carving, and that's how I got started. I focus more on the care of your tools, keep them sharp and not damage them, which is important. Basically just showing how to take away background and how to use your stop cuts. You know, just let them work the chisels on a project so that way they at least get used to it.
If you don't think you can do something in the arts, you're probably mistaken. The thing to do is to just try and not worry about mistakes. The variety of possibilities of what to do are enormous. Some people do relief carving, some people carve canes, some people just fool around and make strange shapes like I do. The variety is amazing and the group is very tolerant. Basically, I work with a chisel and what's called a bench knife, because it takes fairly large cuts. Any really sharp, strong pocket knife will work. That's how I started. I just went down to the co-op and got a really nice pocket knife that had a good lock on it, so it wouldn't come back on me. And just pieces of wood laying around. And that's a good way to start. Well, I had done some when I was a Boy Scout. I liked it a lot, but I gave it up because I thought I was supposed to be a grown-up. Then when I retired in 2011, I was casting around for something to do, and I started picking up some of the things I used to do as a kid. Then I ran into Ralph Conklin, who's essentially our leader. We started talking, and he invited me to join this group, which has been a great joy. I'm a novice. I'm learning gradually. It takes a lot of time and patience to do this. Just remember now, you're never in a hurry, and you never take off too much wood at a time. So I'm starting to get a face. After about 15 minutes or so on, this is leather strop. Okay. And it's a way to sharpen. See how it's starting to shine? Mm-hmm. When you get it to look like that, it's sharp. And then you check to see that it's shiny all the way. Because if it's not, that means there's a nick in the blade. Okay. These are files. I have all these little pieces of fuzz and so on, some of which I can get rid of with this. Some I have to use these. I don't want the face to disappear. And where I am right now on this one is I'm working on a way to get the nose to be funnier, more pronounced, sillier, and I got to work on the back. Then I can get a funny haircut. Pick a piece of wood and draw yourself something you'd like. If it's something like this, this white pine, it doesn't matter. See, this is a little bird that's nothing more than this with some curves cut in it. And it was a lot of fun to do, and it didn't take long. This was a broken piece from a deck, and it was shattered. So I just picked it up off the ground and added a carrot, played with it. That's all it takes. Remember, gently does it.
My father, when I was a child, we'd go out in the woods and he'd just pick up a piece of wood and start carving on it. Then he gave me a pocket knife, and I started following his example, and he just did a lot of what I call craftsy type carvings. That was the beginning of my carving. When you're working with wood, the direction of the grain is always a problem. You have to be very mindful of whether you're going with the grain or across the grain. And one of the things we were trying to teach these people today was build stop cuts. If you've got drawn a figure, whatever that is, if you outline it with a cut, then when you start removing material, you're not going to skip across it and take out the nose or take out an ear or whatever. And so we were teaching them to use the stop cuts. And the other thing is safety is always a big issue. And trying to tell everyone to carve away from yourself as much as possible. That's the reason for this.
Okay.
We actually make some leather thumb guards that we use. It's actually just a piece of leather that's been brought up and looped over itself, tacked on each side, and then put a hole in it so that it's left to right hand, so it's pretty. But this, if I'm working with this and I have my thumb here, I can work right up to my thumb without cutting it off. Safety and just following the wood grain and following the direction of the wood. The other thing, if you're working with a tool like this, hand back here, not up here, hand back here, and then just kind of wiggle. If I wanted to follow a line around something like that, something like that would work real well. There's a couple of knives. There's some small chisels here.
Okay.
Well, just anything you need here. If we've got it, you're welcome to use it.
The more you do it,
Yeah, the more
the
you
easier
carve.
it is.
We've got a good crowd today. I'm glad you could come out and join us. Wood is very forgiving, but it also can create some real issues if you're not watching what you're doing. So when you lay out a piece, you kind of need to look at that wood grain and say, okay, I'm going to be doing something that's going to be rounded in this direction, so I probably need to turn my drawing so that I can follow the wood grain in that direction and not have to be cutting across the grain all the time, because that makes it very difficult, and that's where you get into problems with breaking things off and gouging things out that you don't want to do. So that's primarily what we were doing. A rectangular piece of some kind, you can go in and just start, you can simply put a stop cut, something like so, and then you can just kind of work back up to it. And you're already beginning to get this kind of the indention there underneath the nose, and then you can work backward, put another stop cut up here somewhere, and do a shallow cut going back. And then remember, faces, you actually have kind of a ridge all the way across your brow that the nose goes up into. So if this is my top spot for my nose, I can follow that around the corner of this piece of wood a little bit. And then I'm gonna start making a place for his eyes, and we'll work on around the corner. So it gives you a good starting point. And I don't work in one spot all the time. That's just because of the way I work. This is eventually gonna be a little face of some description. And so I'll work up here a little while, and then I'll move over here and back and forth, because you want it somewhat symmetrical. What people don't understand is people's faces are not symmetrical because we just look different. Whatever you guys want to try to work out will help. I don't want to just sit here and talk to you the whole time about how to do stuff, because the best way to do it is to get your hands on the tools and begin working. So
Here's a pencil. Here's some stuff. Here's the safety gloves. Do what you like. A Santa Claus, bear, a pig, a big cheeseburger. Amuse yourselves. You got it.
yeah.
That's it. Class is over. I'm done.
I enjoy doing woodwork, absolutely. Whether it's furniture or just birds. This is a far piece from it, but like I was telling one of the guys, we built half of a handicap ramp yesterday, which is another form of woodworking. I mean, it's just a different way of doing it. Practical and helps someone that needs it. I've got several things that I've done. I do bowls, like dough bowls. I've done mostly things like fish and animals, birds. I generally do one big piece every year I'm a retired educator, and we have a scholarship every year, and we raise money. And I usually do one big piece a year that I sell at their event. It's a single piece of dogwood. It's an owl made out of a single piece of dogwood. It's approximately 26 inches tall and about 8 inches in diameter, all one piece. Probably 30 pounds, more or less. I started it actually here back in November, I think, is when we were here. People would come by and say, "What's that going to be?" And I said, "Well, it's going to be an owl." And they said, "Well, how long do you think it'll take for you to do that?" And I said, "Probably about 30 hours. Well, it actually took about 35 hours to do the whole thing. When I was his age, my dad used to take pieces of hickory, a straight piece of hickory, and make whistles. Cheap little way to have fun if you're a kid out in the woods. I guess that's probably where I first started doing any carving. Just showing me how to do those kind of things. You just cut out the head and the tail, and then you take the twigs and bore a hole through them, put a piece of wire through the whole thing. Let's say I decide I want to make a largemouth bass. Then I'm probably going to take a board and draw it on there and cut out the rough shape and then start rounding off. In that instance, I'm kind of forcing the wood, whereas letting the wood guide me to what I was doing. And that is a difference. Taking just a square block, sort of like he's got there, and turning it into a ball. Just the process of carving until you get a rounded ball out of that one square piece. Because you learn kind of, you know, what's going on with the wood grain. The thing you want to do is have fun, okay? Once I got it to a certain depth, I would probably take just a smoother, straight, and go back and start taking the tops off of those. After you've done it a while, you can feel those ridges literally through the handle of this thing. Whatever depth you want to go here, you can go back and round these off if you choose to. Now, you don't have to. You can also go back in, like here, if you wanted to come in and put some little thin cuts to look sort of like feathers. You can literally be as detailed as you choose to be. Where people get in trouble carving is they try to take off too much wood at a time and they wind up splitting a whole section off. It's easy to take wood away, it's hard to put it back.
Those faces that I had today, that was a maple branch that came down to my neighborhood from the tornadoes that came through last year. I cut it into pieces. I got 2 more pieces at the house. I'm probably gonna be carving something sooner or later. The first one was just tinkering with it, you know, just like, let me see what I can do with this piece of wood. And I was wanting to try and do a full-scale mouth, because a lot of times, particularly when I first started doing faces, I did beards, mustaches to hide the mouth. Hide the mouth, hide the chin. Don't have to get much detail below the nose if you put a beard and mustache on it. But I wanted to try and see if I can make it work. The one that had a lot of dark black on it, typically when you see that all that black, what's called spalt, that's a rot that's in there that is starting to rot out. I was afraid if I waited too long, went too deep, I'd get into something I couldn't carve anymore.
See these grooves? If you've got the chisel already pretty sharp, you just work it across in the groove that fits the chisel best. Okay. And then if you want to work the other side, you can go to one of these and just kind of work it back and forth. All you're really trying to do with a sharp blade, and this even goes for kitchen knives and other things, after you cut so many times, if you feel the blade, you're going to feel a little curl on the edge where the metal turns one way or the other. Really, all you need to do is to have a piece of leather, or like in a kitchen knife block, you've probably got one of those round things. That really doesn't sharpen the knife, but it takes that little curved edge off. So really, you're just trying to get the knife good and sharp, and then once it's really good and sharp, all you need to do is just kind of keep the edge straight. So once you get these chisels sharp, You don't feel a rounded edge at all, do you? And that's what you want to avoid.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Any knife, any cutting tool will eventually develop just a little tiny curl. And that curl is what makes it dull. People used to use straight razors, and they had like and they had well, that's all they're doing. Okay. They're just taking that little burr off the edge of their razor or off their blade. That gives you a better surface then to cut with. That's a real cheap one, and it looks okay, but it's extremely hard to sharpen, and it doesn't hold an edge well. And that's what you have to watch for.
When we first opened, maintenance pulled up in a truck out back, and there was a bench in the truck. And they asked us, "Are you interested in this bench?" Well, I looked at it and I'm like, yes, of course I am. That's a work of art. And we brought it here. It's been right here. We get such compliments on it. It says Tennessee Woodcarvers on it. And we were like, who is this mysterious Tennessee Woodcarvers? We had no idea who they were. Are they around? Where are they? Well, lo and behold, they were right here in Clarksville. And it took a while, but we finally got them together, and they come up now and do demos for us here at the park. About 3 or 4 years ago, they brought another piece to us with a raccoon head on it. And that is a big hit up here too. We keep it in our theater, so if you're ever here, be sure and come and look at the piece with the raccoon on it.
We moved to Clarksville in 1995. We've been here ever since. One of the guys I know at church was in the carving group here, and he said, "Why don't you come join us sometime?" And I said, "Well, I think I might do that." Came one Saturday, and I've been coming ever since.
I've been with the group for, I want to say probably 15 years or so. I fell off for a while because, you know, work, life, cycle kind of got in the way, and December, I just got back into it, and I hooked back up with these guys and, you know, started carving again.
And so anybody who wants to come, we meet at the winery, usually, the second and fourth Saturday, where we have one rule, the only rule in the club. We don't have dues or presidents or anything. There will be no open wine bottles and sharp instruments in the same room. That's the rule. Only one I know of. There's not that much talking going on. So if you're into socializing, the long stretches of silence might bother you. People are concentrating on what they're doing. But it's very nice, it's very relaxing. And that's the main reason I'm doing it.
We'd really love to get some younger guys involved, girls too, because we're all aging. And frankly, it's a hobby and a skill that we'd like to pass on to some other people. So we'd just love to have you be a part of it.
It's a lot of fun. We sit around this table and carve and make jokes. You should remember that it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. Try to push it down more at a 90-degree angle so that you don't undercut, you know, so it doesn't come up and split something you don't want. So you just go straight down. That's good. See, that'll work a lot easier.
I just appreciate you all allowing us to be here. We love to do experiences with different people because Dick and I are not youngsters, and we need some younger people coming on and learning the craft and getting to enjoy it so that it can be passed on to future generations. So I think that's a great thing.
Meditative arts, quiet arts, are really good for the spirit. Painting, drawing, carving, sculpture, it's really good for you. A lot of people try to draw, and if they don't get the line just right, they give up. Don't frustrate yourself. Just get another piece of wood and be quiet with it, and you'll be much better off.
Just enjoy making stuff. If you're not having fun, there's no sense in doing it.
It's a good thing to do. Whatever you do, enjoy yourself.
I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I know we had a good time here. I hope you did also. Come visit me at the fort. We're open every day but Monday, and we'll be open till 5 o'clock.
For current and exclusive content, subscribe to CDE Lightband, connecting you at the speed of light.